Now it's time for my poll of the week. This week, I asked my followers about the response of Western allies to Kosovo's actions. I asked on Twitter, do you feel the response of the EU, US, Western international community is fair towards the Kosovo-Serbia situation? Now, 8% said it was fair to both, 65% said it was biased to Serbia. 21% said it was biased to Kosovo, and 5% were not really sure. To talk more about the political and foreign relations perspective, I'm joined online by Meliza Haradinaj, who served as Kosovo's Minister of Foreign Affairs between 2020 and 2021. Good afternoon, Meliza. Thank you for joining me on Inside Albania today.
Good afternoon, Alice. Thank you for having me.
Now, let's dive in with the first question. I saw a tweet on your Twitter account, obviously, which showed results of a survey which suggested that Albanians and Serbs in Kosovo society actually don't have that much of a big issue with each other, generally quite happy to live and work together. Would you say this is a fair summary? What are your thoughts on this?
Actually, that was a result of a study that was conducted by a credible NGO in Kosovo very little before tensions in the north sparked. But it's not surprising at all, and I will tell you why. If we zoom out a little bit from the recent politically fueled dynamics in Kosovo right now, we may be able to see and analyze the bigger picture and what truly is the state of affairs in terms of the inter-ethnic relations in Kosovo, so specifically between the Kosovo Albanians and the Kosovo Serbs. So there is a contrast that perfectly depicts the situation. If we take a look on the other side of a coin, there's the ethnic Serbs living outside of a north, so in other municipalities throughout Kosovo, in Gračanica, Štrpce in the south, and other areas that are in a largely better environment, higher quality of life. They are in close, perfect, well-integration system within the Kosovo institutions. So they, of course, enjoy all the rights and privileges that they are entitled to with the Kosovo constitution. However, if we compare to the other side of a coin with the Serbs living in the north, we see that they are constantly intimidated, constantly being threatened and coerced by the gangs that operate in the north of Kosovo that are Vučić-controlled and Vučić-dictated, so directly by Belgrade, to boycott the Kosovo institutions, not to let democracy and rule of law happen, so to live in total anarchy. And of course, in an anarchy, you cannot enjoy the rights and privileges that the other Serbs throughout Kosovo can enjoy. So this brings us to a conclusion that since this is only happening in the north, where local Serbs are being coerced and intimidated, that doesn't bear the Republic of Kosovo's mark, because it implies that Serbia has territorial pretensions, specifically in the north, where the border between Kosovo and Serbia is. So in other words, they want the north to be concentrated with the local Serbs, with the gangs, and to be kept in constant tension, so that it is like a forward to an association with Serb majority municipalities, the so-called, as a forward to a Republika Srpska entity they constantly aim to establish in the Republic of Kosovo. So that would serve as a backdoor for Serbia to the state of Kosovo to control, to coerce, and to destabilize not only Kosovo and not only the north, but also the higher region.
Now, we'll talk a bit more about Russian influence a bit later on, but looking at the broader picture, we've seen the US slap sanctions on Kosovo this week, the Defender 2023, withdrawing help in lobbying non-recognizers, and we've also seen the EU threaten similar. Now, this seems extreme. And why do I say extreme? Because we're not seeing anything similar against Serbia. Why is this?
Actually, I've been vocal against it because I'm not in an institutional position now, so I'm a lot more flexible to say what I mean and what I truly see from a larger geopolitical perspective. So we have to address this asymmetry happening, especially after the start of the unprovoked aggression of Russia against the Ukraine. So we see that the more Serbia aligns with Russia, the more the West tolerates Serbia and treats Serbia with respect and with the higher tolerance, as opposed to how it treats Kosovo. So we came out of war, we rebuilt the country, we founded a state in close cooperation with our Western allies. We listened to all of their advices. We brokered often inconvenient agreements via a very unequal dialogue with Serbia, and we also refrained from claiming genocide that happened in the 90s from the state sponsored by Serbia while the dialogue is active. So this is a big concession we've done while sitting constantly in an active dialogue with Alexander Vucic, who is also an endorser of Putin's unprovoked war in Ukraine, a president who has not imposed sanctions. Now that the world and the West and the democratic world, I must say, is perfectly aligned against the autocracies and against countries that align with Russia and with the genocide happened in Ukraine. We've seen the same with Republika Srpska, with Milorad Dodik in Bosnia-Herzegovina. They are in constant tension and threat of division and of keeping hostage the whole integration of Bosnia-Herzegovina into Euro-Atlantic structures because of the system they've imposed after the war in Bosnia with a federal system and with Milorad Dodik being in a highly powerful position in that part of Bosnia-Herzegovina. We've seen the same in Montenegro. Even now, when the conflict in the north of Kosovo sparked, we've seen rallies like nationalistic chants being said in those rallies against Albanians. And we've seen also the same in south of Serbia, where the majority of Albanians live, how they've been discriminated against continuously. And we've seen the West not saying a single word of criticism or punishment against Serbia. And we must not forget that Serbia is a candidate country for the EU. It's a front runner in the Western Balkans. It has opened and closed many chapters in its accession negotiations with the EU. So we've also seen the recent breach of the Ohrid agreement, of the Brussels agreement reached just a few months ago with Kosovo. We've seen them heavily lobbying against Kosovo's accession into the Council of Europe, and their vote against without a single regret of breaching an international agreement that they've just broken. And we've seen the West, the EU, and the US being silent about it. They didn't even define it as a breach of a specific point in the agreement that they've broken. Because Kosovo unconditionally aligns with the Western world, it does not imply that we must pay a high price for Serbia to be detached from Russia, because this might prove counterproductive in the future, as we've seen with the appeasement policy with Russia from the West, and how it boiled unprecedentedly, so suddenly with the aggression in Ukraine. So we suspect and we doubt that the appeasement policy towards Serbia will prove as an investment that will go in vain, because Russia is deeply rooted in the state of Serbia, and this investment and this high price that Kosovo is paying will not prove to be a wise investment in the direction of keeping Serbia democratic and aligned with the West.
I want to ask, this is such a complex situation. What is the way out for Kosovo now? You have multiple crises at the moment: security, sovereignty, reputational crisis, and long-term allies turning their back in many ways. How can Kosovo get out of this situation?
I agree that we need an urgent de-escalation from the continuous tension, specifically in the north. But to achieve this is only possible only if Serbia gives up this ruthless fueling and encouraging its criminal gangs to spark tensions in the north of Kosovo. And the West needs to keep Serbia accountable for not letting the local Serbs in the north to participate in democracy, participate in local elections, and not to fuel this general instability that has been happening this last for the better part of 2022 and culminated in 2023 now, the last few weeks. So the second thing is that Kosovo needs to urgently restore its direct communication with the Queen countries, as we call it, and also mainly with the United States, to coordinate all security and political measures in the north with them, because it's a highly sensitive area. And third, and not least important, also Kosovo needs to have a strategic review of its participation in the EU-led dialogue. We've seen that EU has an asymmetrical approach over the years, not just now, on how it treats Kosovo and how it treats Serbia. But we must not be held hostage because of EU structural and political problems, issues, to achieve the lasting peace and the main goal of this dialogue, to achieve mutual recognition between Kosovo and Serbia. So without these preconditions, I don't see a point Kosovo participating anymore in an EU-led dialogue. So this can be achieved, I believe, with the US mediation. US recognizes both Kosovo and Serbia as states, is impartial, and we've seen it has been impartial in the last few months and in the last year towards both Kosovo and Serbia, leaning more towards Serbia in supporting them to align with the West. So I think this is high time for the US to step in and take leadership in this dialogue and just lead our way to the end of it.
Meliza, thank you very much for your insights and for your time today. That's all for this week. You can follow Euronews Albania for up-to-date information on the situation in Kosovo as it happens. As for Inside Albania, you can catch me every week at 4:30 on Euronews Albania, YouTube, and across all major podcasting platforms. Inside Albania and Kosovo this week. Vetëm me Euronews. Miropafshim.